that was my goal, was to come in here and my first year try and get meaningful snaps and just kind of working the process and going through it. I mean, everything worked out how I wanted it to. Now it's just working and getting in when I can and preparing for, Saturdays where if Turner goes down or if something happens, I'm just right there ready to go.
Sorry if Shafe already asked you about this, but how much fun was that, the tight end package? I know you played the one snap of it against Buffalo, but you use it a little bit more in mixed situations.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just a little wrinkle that we added to the offense, and getting in there and just kind of having that power formation to have and run off of the left side or the right side with me at tight end. It's just fun, get out there and get those reps. Not particularly at my position, but it's still kind of the same concept.
Whether it's cam, pull-in, and some of the power stuff you're running, that package, I mean, do you feel like you're moving toward an offensive identity in that regard, or just sort of is that something that you can build on even though you only ran it a few times as the season goes on?
I don't know if the identity right now for the offensive line is we're gonna play aggressive, we're gonna play mean, and Cam he's a dog. I don't really agree with those 2 fouls that he had personally. But I would say, power run downhill, and we want to make sure that we progress the offensive line across the board to the point where that's what people expect when they come to play us is you have to watch out for that run game because the offensive line is going to manhandle guys up front.
What have you when you've looked at Michigan State, what has stood out about sort of their defensive front?
Their DNs are aggressive. They'll play thick into the people. They'll play through, whereas Oklahoma, they kind of played edges and were trying to get around guys and didn't want to get hit. Michigan State, that's Big Ten football right there. They're not scared to get hit. They're going to run through people's face, and we just got to be prepared for it.
Does this feel – so you travel for Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Does this feel more like a Big Ten game given that it's going to be kind of late September, East Lansing?
Yeah, just kind of, always growing up watching Big Ten football. It's just that feel of you're going to be on, or you see the team on the road, and it's going to be a late game, and it's going to be a dogfight. That's what the coach is. It's going to be a dogfight. This is a good team that we're playing, and it feels more like the later stretch of the season where every game's going to be like that from here on out. It's just going to be a dogfight. No matter where you are, it's going to be a dogfight.
Does Michigan State, because you're kind of one of the rare guys that grew up as a Nebraska fan, and now you're here on this team. Does Michigan State stand out to you as you sort of think back of growing up watching Nebraska play in the Big Ten?
The only one I could really think of vividly was when they played here, and I can't remember who caught the pass, but it was over here on this sideline where he got pushed out and came back in. Brandon Riley, yeah, caught it, touchdown. And I was in South Dakota on a basketball tournament at that game. We were running up and down the hallways celebrating and stuff. That's the only one I could really vividly remember, but yeah.
What's the challenge? You mentioned kind of the dog fight, the stretch that you're about to hit. What's the challenge of kind of staying in that mentally?
Just practicing. Practices have to be just like games, aggressive across the board. And I felt like last week was a huge step up for the offensive line in practice. Just our mindset throughout the week was we're going to, be aggressive right out the first snap. We're going to go bring it to them. And just building every practice like that, week on week, practice on practice, rep on rep, so that it's just when you get to the game, it's just expected for us to do that.
When you went through the film with Coach Austin, what stood out as where it needs to get better coming out of the Oklahoma game?
Penalties, it was a loud stadium. We're not going to make excuses or anything, but just got to hone in on that. It kind of, kills drives. But I felt like we were aggressive. It kind of shows on film that we were the aggressor in that game, and just kind of got to keep honing in on that and making sure that every single practice is the same.
Is that harder to do for an away game, go out there and put everything out there and be a more aggressive team?
No. If you practice like it's just like, practicing for a home game. There's really no advantage besides like the noise, because Oklahoma probably came into that game thinking that they were just going to manhandle us. That was our mindset. We were going to go manhandle them, and I felt like we succeeded on that front.
I know we asked you this last week. We'll probably ask again next week. But have you had any further conversations about the 4-game deal and where that's at this point?
Right now, it's just kind of I'm not planning on redshirting. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm making sure that I'm giving the coaches reasons to play me and make sure that they have to have me on the field. And I personally, I don't think I'm going to be redshirting now.
With the penalties, everyone says dial in, lock in, focus. What can you guys do beyond that? I mean, the focus part is obviously part of it, but is there a technique thing that you guys can do? Or
I mean, it's kind of tough to rep that. We all week last week we were we were going up against scout guys. We would have move calls because we saw on film that they stemmed right before the snap. And one thing we mentioned it this morning, and it's still not making excuses. It was just the noise comparison. Is just we aren't booming music at practice. We probably could have been, but I mean, there's really nothing you can really do about that. But I feel like just focusing and making sure that you're not going to move is one of the biggest things.
Who you're maybe never going to be a part of it. Who stood out for you from the scout team in terms of giving you guys a good look on the defensive front?
I'd say for my position, pass rush and stuff, Jamari Butler and Blaze Gunnarsson, those guys, when they come in and they have all the moves and they know what to give you, they watch the film for what Michigan State or Oklahoma is going to be running, and they kind of use moves that we will see instead of their own moves that they would normally do. Like last week, they were getting edges. This week, they're going to be playing more into us. I'd say those two really stand out.
Hey, what was I'm sure you talked about this at the beginning, but what was the week like for you last week, getting the instructions and the assignments to play where you did, switching your jersey, all of that stuff?
They told me that there's going to be that new wrinkle, and I was really happy about it. I mean, it's not often you see a guy my size wearing the number 46.
Mm-hmm.
I was really more concerned when I was going to get the passing concepts. They never slid those across my desk, but I mean, it was really just kind of like an extra tackle formation.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything too new or crazy. It was just the adjustment, honestly, was from left side to right side, and just flipping my feet and making sure the footwork's good on both sides.
Is that the first time? Have you ever played on the right side of an offensive line? When was the last? Have you gotten any reps at that in practice before this week?
Buffalo, when it was just that Rhino set that we had, it was that heavy package, and they had me down there. That was the only other time. And then occasionally if we went tackle over, and then that was about it. But this week was a big one for gotta, get adjusted to it.
you been hitting the jugs machine just in case?
No, we do Fast Fridays, and Coach G and Coach V will throw the balls to the linemen. We catch them. That's my tryout tape, personally. If anybody's watching, that's, let them know that I got good hands.
So is that your number now, or is it a 1 week switch?
I don't know. It's going to be 65 until they tell me otherwise, and when they tell me, I'll be ready to throw on that tight 46 jersey.
Could you could go